been working as an Uber Eats driver for a while now, and to say the job is uninspiring would be an understatement. In a small city like Lafayette, it's less of a gig and more of a survival mechanism. Some days people are generous with their tips, others not so much, but I can't be mad at that. Money is tight everywhere, and I just have to remind myself this is all temporary. This job, my situation, everything. It's temporary. But lately, things have taken a darker turn. Something's changed in the air, like a shadow lurking just out of sight, and I can't shake it off. I know it sounds insane, and maybe that's why I haven't told anyone. But I need to get this off my chest. Maybe, just maybe, someone out there knows what's happening and how much time I have left. It all began about a month ago, on a Friday night. A night that seemed normal, but turned out to be anything but. It was one of those slow Fridays where I thought I'd be lucky to make gas money, let alone something extra. I was heading back to my friend's place, ready to collapse onto the couch that had become my makeshift bed, when that familiar ding of the Uber Eats app went off. It was already late, close to 9 p.m., and I had half a mind to just ignore it. I was about to hit decline when I noticed the payout. My eyes widened. $78.47, I blinked, thinking it had to be a mistake. In a town like Lafayette, you're lucky to get fares above $20 on a good day, let alone something this high. I hesitated. It could be a joke, people playing with high tips to bait drivers and then slashing them last minute. My finger hovered over the cancel button, but something in me couldn't let go. Maybe it was greed. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was something deeper. Whatever it was, I accepted. The pickup was only a few minutes away. Nothing unusual about the drive, just the usual quiet streets and dimly lit roads that make up this town. I pulled up to the restaurant, a small fast food joint I'd been to dozens of times. The moment I walked in, though, something felt off. The cashier at the counter looked at me like I just cursed her out. Her smile faded instantly, and she exchanged a glance with her coworker. They knew something I didn't. "I've got an Uber Eats for Bailey J," I said, my voice shaky but trying to remain casual. Their faces darkened further. Without a word, the cashier turned, grabbed 3 massive bags, and shoved them across the counter. Here, she said coldly, as if the word itself was laced with venom. I didn't even get a chance to confirm the order before I was ushered out the door like I was carrying a plague. As I walked back to my car, my curiosity grew. I set the bags down in the passenger seat and glanced at the order details. 30 hamburgers, no buns, no cheese, no toppings, just meat, 30 patties of ground beef. I stared at the screen, then back at the bags, feeling my skin crawl. Who orders something like that? For a second, I thought about canceling the delivery. It was still early enough that I could back out and save myself from whatever weirdness this was. But before I could convince myself, I was already on the road, heading toward the address. The drop-off was at a Studio 6 motel off I-49, the kind of place you drive past without even thinking about it. As I got closer, unease settled in my stomach like a rock. The place looked worse than any motel I'd seen. Rusted fences, dimly flickering lights, broken down cars scattered in the parking lot like abandoned memories. I parked outside room 12, my headlights casting long shadows against the cracked asphalt. The instructions were simple: meet at door, but as I approached, I noticed the door was already slightly open, just enough for a sliver of pale blue light to spill out. I froze. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to drop the bags and run, but I couldn't. I had to finish the delivery. Maybe it was the $78.47 still hanging over my head, or maybe it was something more sinister pulling me forward. Just as I was about to place the bags down and leave, a voice, cracked and frail, called from inside the room. "Please, can you bring the food in? I can't get up." My heart pounded in my chest, the sound echoing in my ears like a war drum. Something about the voice unnerved me, but it also filled me with an odd sense of guilt. What if this person really needed help? What if they were disabled or bedridden? The fear inside me was slowly being replaced by empathy, and that was enough to get me to move. "I'll bring it in," I replied, my voice trembling slightly. I pushed the door open further, and the smell hit me instantly. Rot, decay, like something had died in there weeks ago and no one had bothered to clean it up. I gagged but forced myself to step inside. The room was small and cluttered, dimly lit by the blue light from the bathroom. The air was thick, humid even, and my eyes darted around, looking for the source of the voice. There was no one on the bed, no one in the chair. The place looked abandoned. But then, from the bathroom, the voice came again, stronger this time. "I'm in here." My feet felt like lead as I moved closer. I peered around the edge of the bathroom door, and that's when I saw it, a mass. No, not a person, not even an animal, but a writhing, pulsating mass of flesh clinging to the ceiling. Its skin was a sickly, mottled gray, and hanging from it were thin, tendon-like tendrils that writhed and twitched, searching the air as though tasting it. I stumbled back, my heart leaping into my throat. This was no human. This was something else. Something ancient, something wrong. "Feed me," the voice demanded, but it no longer sounded human. The words reverberated in my head, echoing like a haunting melody, filling every corner of my mind. I dropped the bags, but before I could turn to run, one of the tendrils shot down, wrapping itself around my wrist. The touch was cold and slimy, burning into my skin like acid. "Feed me," it said again, the voice louder, more insistent. I could feel the grip tightening, pulling me closer to the bathroom, closer to the writhing creature that hung from the ceiling like a grotesque spider. Its mouth opened, revealing rows of sharp, yellowed teeth, each one gnashing together in anticipation. I had no choice. I grabbed one of the bags, opening it up and pulling out a patty. The tendril loosened its grip slightly, as if it knew I was complying. With a shaking hand, I tossed the patty into the creature's mouth. It swallowed with a wet, slurping sound, and I nearly vomited. One by one, I fed it the burgers. With each bite, the creature seemed to grow, expanding across the ceiling, its flesh rippling and stretching. It groaned in satisfaction, a sound so deep and primal it made my bones vibrate. Finally, when the last patty was gone, the tendrils retracted, and the voice whispered one last command. "You will return." I bolted for the door, yanking it open and stumbling into the night air. My chest heaved as I gasped for breath, and I didn't stop running until I was back in my car. I sped away from the motel, my hands shaking so violently I could barely keep them on the wheel. When I got back to my friend's apartment, I collapsed onto the couch, my mind reeling from what had just happened. But it wasn't over. Every Friday since then, I've received the same order from Bailey J. The fare keeps increasing, and so does the size of the order. Every time I go back, the creature has grown. It now covers the entire ceiling, its tendrils reaching out further, its teeth sharper, and its voice louder. Last time I went, it asked for more. And I fear, soon, it will ask for something I cannot give. I don't know what will happen if I refuse.